Yo, what is up Raiders, Wolfie here, and today we're taking a clean and structured look at the quests in Arc Raiders. This video will give you a clear overview of what quests are, how they're kind of designed, and what you can realistically expect if you're diving into this mechanic for the first time, or maybe you are already partway through the process and you want to know more information. I'm not going into spoilers or step-by-step solutions. There's plenty of YouTube guides out there if you want to check those out, looking for a specific quest you want to complete. This is kind of a system breakdown to help you get the bigger picture if you're kind of asking yourself, is this a mechanic in-game that is worth for me to pick up and finish? At the end, I'll also share a few personal thoughts how I think the quests currently sit and my whole experience. Quests in Arc come from 5 different traders that are currently available in the game. Each trader has their own kind of personality and style, so your quests come with a bit of dialogue and story about what's happening in the Rust Belt, the world Arc Raiders takes place in. As you progress, these traders will send you across different maps to complete different tasks, starting at the dam and then gradually working your way through every location all the way up to Stellamontis, which arrived with the latest November's update. So what do quests actually look like once you're in the game? To keep things simple, I like to group them into 3 broad types. These are not at all official categories from the game, just a clean way to understand the structure when you're first getting into them. The first type is what I call the introduction quests. These show up right at the beginning of the quest line and they act almost like an extended tutorial. They point you towards basic world mechanics, encourage you to interact with them, and help you get comfortable moving around the early maps at your own pace. Then you'll start seeing Arc Hunt quests. These send you after some of the easier Arc enemies in the game, just to get you familiar with PvE combat, looting Arc remains, and navigating encounters with a bit more intention. After that, with a few small exceptions, the quest line shifts heavily into map exploration. These quests ask you to move across the world, find specific objectives, interact with them, or retrieve quest-related items which you need to extract successfully. This is where most of the questline currently sits, exploring the maps, learning their layouts, and naturally discovering locations you might not visit otherwise. Now, what can you actually expect while working through the questline? If you've already completed a chunk of it, some of this may sound very familiar. Like most players, myself included, start noticing a pattern pretty early on. You'll be doing a lot of walking, a lot of traveling between objectives, and a lot of interacting with world elements. That's simply the reality of the current questline. It's not overly difficult, it's not very punishing, it rarely even puts you under real pressure. It's more of a steady guided progression path that takes you across the maps. Depending on the type of player you are, this can either feel calming and structured or a bit repetitive after a while. Some players on Reddit and Discord even joked about feeling like delivery guys or even button pressers. One thing to keep in mind is that the challenge doesn't really come from the quests themselves. The objectives are fairly straightforward. The real challenge comes from getting to the locations the quests require, dealing with the PvE threats along the way, running into different players, and the unpredictability that comes with this PvPvE environment. 2 players doing the exact same quest can have completely different experiences. Some might have a calm, smooth run across the map, while another might be on their freaking 7th attempt to retrieve the exact same item that they keep dying with. So just remember, the questline in its current state isn't designed to push your mechanical limits, it's more designed as a map tour. Now, how about the rewards? Let's talk about that, because after all, this is what compensates you for the time you invest in the game, and this is where things get a bit complicated when it comes to keeping players engaged with the current system. Outside of 4 guaranteed blueprints and a handful of quest-exclusive cosmetics, the questline doesn't actually offer anything that unique. You can get every single non-blueprint item simply by playing normally, without even touching a single quest whatsoever. And quests don't grant any experience either as of now, which would have been a nice touch if you ask me, even if it only boosted character leveling a little bit, kinda giving that additional incentive for players to go after tasks. Most of these rewards are just regular items pulled from the same loot pool you already find in raids. things you'll probably use for crafting, recycle, or even quick sell right away. Because they fall into the same general category of everyday loot, nothing really stands out as a meaningful prize or progression milestone. This often leaves players kind of wondering, why am I doing all this? I can get all these items anyway. And even if you're a casual player who doesn't realize this until the end, you'll start to feel the trend pretty early. And at the end, the reaction is usually something like, so that's it? I don't really get anything that valuable? And this ties directly into another issue, the difficulty curve. Quest progression does not scale at all. The 50th quest doesn't feel meaningfully harder than many earlier ones. A small spoiler example, the Hullcracker Blueprint. Objectively one of the highest value rewards we currently have in the game, comes from a simple item pickup on the outskirts of the first map. It does not match the power of the reward at all. Hullcracker being currently one of the best PvE weapons we have in the game, it could have easily been tied to something like taking down a Leaper, a Rocketeer, and a Bastion in a single raid. Something that requires planning, gearing, and a bit of effort. That would feel earned. Right now, most rewards we get feel more like stash supplements than exciting upgrades. To point out a good thing though, I don't only want to criticize, quests do give players something to work towards. They add structure, a sense of progression, and that game completion feeling for players who enjoy clearing content. Even if the rewards themselves aren't that strong, the act of completing them can still feel satisfying, especially for players who like checking off objectives. And to be completely fair, this might be intentional. The game's still new, the developers likely don't want to dump all the hardest quests and best rewards into the game this early. And for a live service game, it would make sense to give a massive final reward for completing everything right now. Because the last quest is not really a last quest, it's only the last quest for now. As more updates arrive, new quests will be added on top of the existing ones. That is already stated as a part of the December's Cold Snap update, and I'm really interested what this new edition will bring. So how much time does it actually take to complete all 66 quests we currently have? Before anything else, a quick disclaimer, because this part is very, very important. Every player approaches Ark differently. Some move fast, some play slow and immersive, some experiment, some optimize. Skill, experience with the genre, and whether you're playing solo or with friends all affect the speed. And of course, following a guide is always faster than figuring out everything by yourself based off descriptions that the quest gives you. With that said, I took a close look at every quest, combined it with my own experience, and built a realistic estimate. For this calculation, I'm assuming an average quest-oriented raid time of about 15 minutes, 2 to 3 attempts per quest on average, some quests being first time clears, others taking multiple raids, maybe dying to PvE, PvP, or simply going for a loot run since you spawned on the complete opposite side of the map. In a few quests, not even being possible in a single run because they require multiple maps to complete. Based on that pattern, here's the general outcome. For the average player, completing all 66 will take around 35 hours. Now, depending on your experience and playstyle, this can swing in both directions obviously. New players or those who take their time are going to be closer to 50 hours, especially if they're learning systems along the way. Highly efficient players sinking multiple quests into one run, surviving most raids, and optimizing paths as low as 20 hours. This would be more likely to apply to someone who prestiges and then goes through the questline a second time with full knowledge. So whatever you land on that range, whether you're exploring slowly, learning the game, or pushing efficiently, you'll now have a much clearer idea of what the full questline demands. So, is the questline actually worth doing? My advice, do not treat the quests as your main objective. Don't log in to grind quests on purpose, instead complete them naturally, when your spawn and gear already line up with the task. Played this way, it will not feel as tedious and you'll progress steadily in the background. And the truth is, it depends on the kind of player that you are. If you're a completionist, then yes, the questline will feel worth it. It gives structure, direction, and a steady sense of progress, even if the rewards aren't amazing. Finishing all of them can feel genuinely satisfying. If you're a reward or gameplay focused, you'll probably find it a bit underwhelming. The difficulty doesn't scale, most rewards are items you'd find anyway, and outside of the 4 blueprints and some skins, nothing meaningfully boosts your character. If you're new to the game and the genre, the questline is a great introduction. It teaches mechanics, shows you the maps, gets you familiar with enemy types, and gives you direction while you learn. You just don't expect rewards to change your gameplay dramatically. If you're here for the challenge, the current questline won't scratch that itch. Most difficulty comes from the PvP or PvE along the route, not the tasks themselves. But as a live service game, our creators will almost certainly expand into more challenging quests later. So overall takeaway, worth it if you're enjoying exploration, structure, progression and completion, not kind of worth it if you're strictly chasing strong rewards and high difficulty. And since the game is still fresh, with more quests inevitably being added on top of the current 66, think of the questline as a foundation, something that will grow, evolve, and likely become more rewarding as Arc Raiders develops. And that wraps up this quest system overview. Arc Raiders is off to a genuinely strong start, and the developers have been doing an excellent job so far. Responsive, creative, active, and clearly committed to shaping the game in the right direction. If they continue refining the questline and build on this foundation, this system has the potential to become something truly great in the future updates. If you found this helpful, feel free to share your thoughts or your own quest experience in the comments. I'd love to hear where you are in the journey. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there in the Rust Belt, and I'll see you in the next one.